Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair. We could call this a Halloween special because I had a little bit of a nightmare with this project we're going to talk about today.
I thought I looked like a monster.
Yeah,
That's you, right?
Yeah, Detlef said he had a heavy night last night. Oh, wow, I've made it up. Okay, so this is the project I'm talking about. This is the universal op-amp tester. We had a couple of problems with this. So when we originally designed it, we physically put the LEDs, these two, in the wrong places. Electrically, that was absolutely fine. The main problem was that I had a short circuit on the PCB from one of the signals, which is 1+. So this is the non-inverted input. On the op-amps we tested, you can see it goes everywhere, like it's all over the place. Okay, it goes down to the quads as well, to the duals. So this signal goes all over the place. It's there, like 1+. And it was shorted to ground, and that was due to a defect in the PCB. And I fixed it here. So the defect was, in actual fact, a little wire that was sitting on top of the track. I'll show you on an unpopulated one, which is actually caused by this. So we have a track running down. This is in actual fact that 1+ signal, and this one is ground, and you can see that the wire is sitting right on top of the track.
And I'm not sure if we did this or the auto router did this or what happened there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean there's another one very close. You see this one here where it's curved the track around the wire and then taking it through there. I mean that one's okay, but I mean that is like so close to that. I mean that it's a problem.
I'm getting dizzy just by looking at this.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So a couple of questions raised. I published a video saying do not use an auto router. Now I've always in the past said, yeah, just let the auto router do the job. But this caused me an hour or more of fault finding to find that problem. And that's an hour or more I wouldn't have had to spend. I mean, maybe it was 2 hours. It'd probably take me 2 hours to manually route this because, well, Detlef has done it and he says 2 hours, okay?
Roughly.
Yeah. Roughly. But we just want to talk about that. Now, another topic that was raised in the original video was if we used the DRC or Design Rule Checker, we wouldn't have had this problem. When we upload the Gerber to PCBWay, they do a DRC, but it's not to find this sort of problem. They can't tell that this schematic, if you like, is now wrong. Their DRC check is to determine whether, for example, you have tracks too close to the edge of the board or wires too close together. Things like this, but obviously that passed. They thought, yes, we can manufacture this. So that's what their check is for. It's not to check for any defects like this.
Maybe let me say this with different words.
Okay.
They know what their production machines are capable of. So they know what are the limits of the track between tracks. So what's the gap distance, the Mac tracks, what's the Mac track minimum track width they can produce. They know these things. So this is what they check.
Yeah.
But they can't check the function. Because for the function, you need the schematics. And in a Gerber, there are no schematics. This is just a PCB.
Yeah, correct. So we'll talk about the DRC in a minute. But another topic, and nobody raised this one in the comments, but Detlef said, if we have PCBs routed like this is okay for sending to somebody like PCBWay who can make PCBs like this, but this is not okay for somebody who wants to use a Gerber file and make their own PCB, just like laser printing, for example, on a transparency, putting it on using a etching solution. Yeah, so people want to make the PCBs like that. They really can't do this sort of work. It's too fine. Okay, so let's go back over to the layout. We'll talk about what we've changed and we'll just mention about the DRC check. Okay, guys, so the question was, did we use the DRC checker? And the answer, Det, is
nope. And for an auto router, I normally say the auto router knows a thing, so why would I use a DRC? And quite frankly, I'm a bit lazy when it comes to DRC. Let me show you a thing there. You see the green axis over here. The green axis means doesn't connect to anything. You need to be very specific with that. If you leave them out and you do a DRC, then this will give you an error. It will simply tell you, nope, there is no connection there. This must be an electrical error. So when I do microcontroller PCBs with bunch of pins. I normally simply connect stuff and then I see, okay, does this work? Doesn't this work? And the DRC will get very confused by this. So if you're not very consistent with your green axis to connect every port you don't use, by the way, open ports, open inputs, you always should put something on there. You don't leave them floating. But normally DRC, well, I'm lazy with this. Well, lazy dad again. Yeah.
Okay, I noticed this is a red cross. Is that because we have the mouse?
No, this is why the mouse is
That's where the mouse was. Okay, guys, so it wasn't a red cross before anybody asks. So, did we make a mistake there? Shall we hold our hands up? Maybe we did.
Auto router should know its stuff.
Okay, the auto router should know better.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us.
No. No.
So we hope that settled that question. After I published the video, unbeknownst to me, Det then went and manually rerouted the project.
Well, I had an evening off and I watched a movie, so this is why I know this is about 2 hours while I was doing that. And let me show you the original PCBs. And this garbled mess, I don't have a better word for this, is the auto router output we had. So you see a lot of weird squiggly lines all in the same width, and they're doing really horrible stuff here.
Can we
and
see
look at this, they're doing horrible stuff where it isn't needed. You see this? This turnaround here. So they putting two for a rebuildable. If you at home want to etch this PCB by yourself, you would go crazy with this. So you have two lines passing between two pins of a IC or the socket in
This
here.
is a switch.
This is a switch, yeah.
Yep.
And this is fine for a PCB manufacturer, but doing this at home, if you can do this at home, respect. Man.
Yeah.
Really respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we see the error on this at all, where it's actually messed up?
We had this somewhere down here, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere down here, and I think it's on the bottom side, so the blue side.
I can see it straight away. So we have,
This is the one.
This one.
Yeah.
This
is +1, yeah.
So this is +1, and that's where it's passing through ground, and that's where...
Let me see if I can move this. Oh yeah, look at this.
Oh, look, now it puts a yellow cross on it, but there wasn't one before.
This tells me now, oh, it's too close, and probably it thinks when it's connected there, I don't know. But again, this is horrible.
So this is
will be needed. Look at this. If I want to do this better, I would do that.
Okay.
Already better because I don't have these close crossings here, but this was the error. So
that was the error.
These were connected. Let me move this back somewhere here.
Yeah.
And now it tells me, oh, you can't do this.
But it didn't before.
Yeah, for some strange reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in actual fact, the DRC check wouldn't tell us. It couldn't see it initially. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So what have we done with it? That's what we started with. What did you do, Det, and how did you do it?
Well, what you normally do, you simply go for, okay, I can't use anything of this. Would I use partially auto routers? Maybe for easy things, but you see this down here, the quad pins, quad chips here, they need a lot of connections.
Yeah.
You can't go without going through the pads here. This won't work the other way around. But you could do well. Look at this.
Yeah,
this is so close. This wire is so close. So you want to minimize wires, because if you want to do this manually, every wire means you have to drill a hole. You have to put in a little wire in there, solder it from both sides. Chances are you forget one of these and you're going stir crazy while trying to figure out what did you forget.
This is because PCBWay, for example, and others make plated through holes.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're etching your own PCB, you don't have plated through holes. So then, as Det says, you have to stick a piece of wire through and solder on both sides.
Yeah. So minimize wires for rebuildability. I got these strange words now, right?
Yeah. Well, you should be used to that because German has lots of long words.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Second thing, if you absolutely need to do this, you can put two wires between two pins on a normal layout. But again, for rebuildability, there are ways around this. And I think on my layout, I don't have two wires going through two pins. And next thing that isn't so important for this layout, but could be a thing, you see that all the wires are all the same, the tracks are always all the same width.
Correct.
You can do this on this thing because we have maximum of 20 mil.
50 milliamps. Maximum.
50 mil, yeah, this will work fine.
Yeah.
So, but normally you would go for, okay, power lines should be thicker and signal lines, and every line should be the maximum thickness here. that it can be
Uh-huh.
within the routing.
Okay.
That sounds a bit convoluted. It is, and yes, you can set the rules here. You can say, okay, for GND, go for 20 mil or something, but then the auto router will go for 20 mil all the time.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you because sometimes you can't do this. Sometimes you have to go thinner then. And you could do the same with the signal lines. So make the signal lines bigger. But believe me, with test runs, I'd normally say I'm faster and I'm better with this than the auto router can be, even if I tweak the auto router to its limits.
Yeah.
And to me, this doesn't happen. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. Why? There's so much space here. Now I want to correct everything. So my HDHD comes out and tells me, okay, go there. No, you don't want to go there. You want to do... And now, you see, I'm messing this up.
Yeah.
So, before I try to fix the mistakes the auto router did, I do this myself.
Just start again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we show the people?
We can.
So, yes, this looks complicated, and there are a lot of wires on this one, but you see down here, I'll have to cross between two pads. But I do this with one wire, and I keep this in the middle.
Yeah.
So I try to leave as much space between the pads and the tracks as possible. And yeah, I can't get away with less tracks here.
This actually, just looking at it as an overview, looks a bit more like a city grid, if you know what I mean. Like the reds are vertical,
Okay.
the blues are horizontal. It's like, to me, there's more kind of like organisation in that already, if you see what I mean. And in the way we're planning like a city.
Yeah, when I was looking at this, I thought, okay, this is the center thing here. This is where the breadboard lives.
Yeah.
And we have the two pin headers down here. So all the signals will be on the two pin headers anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So my idea was see these red wires. See the red wires coming down here. So this was my idea, to put as many of the connections down here, because I can bring every connection down to these.
Yeah, because there's a lot of space here.
Yeah, and this is really a lot of space. So no
Yeah.
worries there with the connections there. And from there on, it gets convoluted. The left side is pretty easy because this is 1 and 2. So you
Yeah.
only have half of the signals here. And looking at this, I can live with this. See what I did here? I left a lot of space going around here and putting the track between here. And I see these things can be optimized to the limit. So I can move this track down here, and then I don't have to go between the pins here.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. As I said, when you watch this at the second time or third time or fourth time, you find always things where you think, okay, I can optimize this. Yeah.
Is this what we call the 80-20 rule? Like, it reaches a point where it's good enough, and at that point you should not continue to mess with it because you're not really gaining anything.
This is where I would go here. Yeah, you can go through this for hours and hours of. You can put 10 hours in there to optimize. See, I'm seeing the next one here. I can route this one down here, but then I spend so much time, really so much time, but that isn't really necessary. So. You could do a second iteration here to optimize any further, but I go with Rich here and say 80-20. So I'll have my limits here, and I normally set my time for this. So I say, okay, I don't want to spend more than 3 hours on this one.
Yeah.
And this helps me a lot to organize my thought process here, because if I spend more than 3 hours, I'm doing too long.
Yeah, of course. If you're being paid by the hour, that's another matter.
Different story. Different story.
This can be optimized to its extreme. Yeah.
Then you can optimize to your heart's content.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I try to keep the tracks as wide as possible, so some tracks will be somewhere here 12 mil, and the tracks that go between the ICs are normally 10 mil. So I try not to go beyond 10 mil. 10 mil is not millimeters, it's mil.
Is that 1,000th of an inch?
1,000th of an inch.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that because I always think like 10 mil. That's never 10 millimeters. Zach pointed out that mil, M-I-L, is not the same as millimeter.
Yeah, and as a German, I'm using the imperial numbers here.
Strange.
Yeah, because I'm used to this. This is just me being used to this.
It's probably an American thing.
Yeah, because it's always American and
imperial.
English. Yeah. So sorry for all the Germans who want to see millimeters. I can switch here to millimeters. and we can see how the track width goes then.
So 10 mil
it would be 0.254 millimeters. Well, so of course, yeah. But
yeah,
as soon as get out of this, so you go in here and you go for 0.305.
Yeah.
Nobody can remember this.
No.
Yeah. So you go mils, so 1,000 of an inch.
Yeah.
And then this is readable. Yeah. You see this coming down here. This is no auto router would do that, because auto routers are not that clever to do the things. Because I'm coming down from the chip down here, and the layout is absolutely the same, because the chip layout is the same between DIL and the SoC.
Yeah.
So I needed to simply put them on there. And
this is what I say. This is why this looks more structured to me than the auto router.
Yeah. And I didn't do the same on this side, because I wanted to minimize wires. I want to have as few wires as possible on the thing, because all the people down at home who are drilling holes and putting wires through that will greatly appreciate if there's one wire less.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so this was the reason for that.
I actually asked Det if there was now more or less wires than there were before, and actually we didn't check, so I don't know. But whether there are or not, to me, this, as I say, it just looks structured, and I can't really explain it better than that. Hope you guys, maybe because a human did this, it looks more structured to a human.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
One thing I will just mention is the switch. If you just go back to the PCB. Yeah, this switch. So Det commented that the one I'd put in here, we've actually got the correct switches, the slide switches he ordered. But another interesting point he made, and I do remember him saying at the time, the slider switch that we chose, we did because the spacing is exactly the same as pin header. So that's 0.254 mil. Yeah, exactly, millimeter. Okay. So what you could do is just put a pin header on here and use a jumper, because most likely you're not going to be changing the current that often. So you'll probably set it to 50 and leave it at that, unless for odd reason you want to use 20. So yeah, you could actually remove the switch, put a pin header, and put a jumper.
Yeah, so this lovely construct Richard did with the LEDs over there, I corrected this, of course, and I was lazy. I changed simply connections on the switch, this one, yeah.
So how does that look on the schematic now?
I'll show the people. And this was more a cosmetic change, because electrically it worked, and by the way, I have no idea why it didn't work. And what we did here, you see this every model has the same thing here. So we go in switch red or green. These are the LEDs, either way, red or green. And these are going out to the switch over here. So we got switch 1, red or green. And normally I would go green, red, and you see these are interchanged. So for one, I changed these two parts. Okay, let me zoom in here. I simply changed these two, and they were red and green, so I simply
switch them around.
So from now, this simply changes the direction. This works. It's a sync all source.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's strange on that switch that we did lay them out wrong. We can see clearly that we have the reds on, for example, module 4 is on red when the switch is in the up position, and then on module 3 is in the down position.
This is what I meant. Yeah, I have no idea why this happened.
Nope.
From a logical point of view, I still don't see why it happened, but yeah, this is changed now.
Stuff happens. Okay, guys, so you can see what we've done with that. I hope you agree that the manual routing is better. Get down there and comment, let us know, yeah?
Yeah, and we left the DRC running, yeah.
And of course, yes. And yeah, the PCB, so you can see what we've changed on this. It wasn't a big change. We'll send this design back into PCBWay. I'll get some more PCBs made, put another one together, if that now works as we expect. And by the way, forgot to mention, on the new design, this switches higher up so that we can put the breadboard physically on here properly. Okay, so once they come back, we'll build another one. If it works as we expected, then this will be uploaded as a shared project and you can all build your own. So I'd like to thank again Detlef for all his help on this one, and PCBWay, thank you very much for sponsoring the channel, which is what allows us to make these sort of videos, these projects. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching. So I hope to see you all soon again on Learning Electronics Repair. Ciao for now, guys.
Ciao for now, guys.